All right.
So here we go, guys. Stop video, off stage, start video, on stage. I'll read the character name, you'll read your name, because these names seem actually sayable, readable, pronounceable.
Yeah, we'll see.
Right, thanks. Thanks for the vote of confidence, Mo. No. I'm getting this shit. All right, guys, here we go. Tonight we're reading Henry V. Henry V.
Great start, Marielana. That's it.
Henry V. It goes downhill from here. Tonight we are reading Henry V. by William Shakespeare, adapted by Taylor Phillips.
Yay!
Yay! Yay!
Tonight playing King Henry.
Harley Diamond.
Playing the Constable, the Duke of Bedford, the Archbishop of Canterbury.
Miguel Fana.
Playing the Chorus and MONTJOY.
Maurice Kessler.
Playing the King of France and Pistol.
Marty Goldberg.
Playing FLUELLEN and SCROOP.
I'm Kane.
Playing DAUPHIN, BARDOLPH, and the English Herald.
David Mackler.
Playing Alice, Mistress Quickly, and Gower.
Valerie O'Hara.
Playing Katharine and Bishop Eli and Boy.
Taylor Lynne.
Playing the Duke of Burgundy, Williams, and the Governor.
Tyler Bogen.
Playing the Duke of Exeter and the French soldier.
Ernie Bosio.
Nice on cork. Playing Westmoreland, Nim, and the Duke of Orleans.
Michael Janove.
Orleans.
Oh,
Very French.
Act 1, prologue. You waited for that. Enter chorus.
Ooh. I'll read that. Unless we have someone.
Yes.
Oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention. A kingdom for a stage, princes to act and monarchs to behold the swelling scene. Then should the warlike Harry, like himself, assume the port of Mars, and at his heels, leashed in like hounds, should famine, sword, and fire crouch for employment. But pardon, gentles all, the flat, unraised cockpit hold the vasty fields of France? Or may we cram within this wooden O the very casks that did affright the air at Agincourt? Oh, pardons, since a crooked figure may attest in little space 1,000,000. And let us, ciphers to this great account, on your imaginary forces work. Suppose within the girdle of these walls are now confined 2 mighty monarchies, whose high upreared and abutting fronts the perilous narrow ocean parts asunder. Piece out our imperfections with your thoughts. Into 1,000 parts divide one man and make imaginary puissance. Think, when we talk of horses, that you see them printing their proud hooves in the receiving earth, for 'tis your thoughts that must now deck our kings, carry them here and there, jumping o'er times, turning the accomplishment of many years into an hourglass, for the which supply. Admit me, chorus to this history, who prologue-like your humble patience pray, gently to hear, kindly to judge our play.
Exit chorus. Scene 1, London, an antechamber in the King's Palace. Enter the Archbishop of Canterbury and the Bishop of Ely.
My lord, I'll tell you that self-bill is urged, which in the 11th hour of the last king's reign was like, and had indeed against us passed, but that the scambling and unquiet time did push it out of farther question.
But how, my lord, shall we resist it now?
It must be thought on. If it pass against us, we lose the better half of our possession. For all the temporal lands which men devout by testament have given to the church, would they strip from us, being valued thus, as much as would maintain to the king's honour full 15 earls, 1,500 knights, 6,200 good esquires, and to relief of lasers and weak age, of indigent faint souls past corporal toil, 100 almshouses right well supplied, and to the coffers of the king besides, 1,000 pounds by the year. This runs the bill.
This would drink deep, but what prevention?
The king is full of grace and fair regard. The breath no sooner left his father's body, but that this wildness mortified in him seemed to die too. Yea, at that very moment. Consideration like an angel came and whipped the offending Adam out of him, leaving his body as a paradise to envelop and contain celestial spirits. Never was such a sudden scholar made. Hear him but reason in divinity, and all admiring, with an inward wish you would desire the king were made a prelate. Hear him debate of commonwealth affairs, you would say it hath been all in all his study. List his discourse of war, and you shall hear a fearful battle rendered you in music. Turn him to any cause of policy, the Gordian knot of it he will unloose, familiar as his garter. That, when he speaks, the air, a chartered libertine, is still, and the mute wonder lurketh in men's ears, to steal his sweet and honeyed sentences, so that the art and practice of life, part of life, must be the mistress to his theory. Which is a wonder how his grace should glean it, since his addiction was to courses vain, his companies unlettered, rude, and shallow, his hours filled up with riots, banquets, sports, and never noted in him any study, any retirement, any sequestration from open haunts and popularity.
And so the prince obscured his contemplation under the veil of wildness, which, no doubt, grew like the summer grass, fast as by night, unseen, yet crescive in his faculty. But, good my lord, how now for mitigation of this bill urged by the commons? Doth his majesty incline to it or no?
He seems indifferent, or rather, swaying more upon our part than cherishing the exhibitors against us. For I have made an offer to his majesty upon our spiritual convocation, and in regard of causes now in hand, which I have opened to his grace at large, as touching France, to give a greater sum than ever at one time the clergy yet did to his predecessors part withal.
How did this offer seem received, my lord?
With good acceptance of his majesty, save that there was not time enough to hear, as I perceive his grace would fain have done, the severals and unhidden passages of his true titles to some uncertain dukedoms, and generally to the crown and seat of France, derived from Edward, his great-grandfather.
What was the impediment that broke this off?
The French ambassador upon that instant craved audience, and the hour, I think, is come to give him hearing. Is it 4 o'clock?
It is.
Then I must go to his embassy, which I could with a ready guess declare before the Frenchmen speak a word of it.
Exeunt. Scene 2, the same. The presence chamber. Enter King Henry, Exeter, Westmoreland, more lords and attendants.
Shall we call in the ambassador, my liege?
We would be resolved, before we hear him, of some things of weight that task our thoughts concerning us in France. Where is my gracious lord of Canterbury?
Enter
God! God and the angels guard your sacred throne and make you long become it.
Sure, we thank you. My learned lord, we pray you to proceed and justly and religiously unfold why the law Salic that they have in France, or should not, bar us in our claim. And God forbid, my dear and faithful lord, that you should fashion, rest, or bow your reading, or nicely charge your understanding soul with opening lines miscreate, whose right suits not in native colors with the truth. For God doth know how many now in health shall drop their blood in approbation of what your reverence shall incite us to. Therefore take heed how you impawn our person, how you awake our sleeping sword of war. Upon this conjuration, speak, my lord, for we will hear, note, and believe in heart that what you speak is in your conscience washed as pure as sin with baptism.
Then hear me, gracious sovereign, and your peers, that owe ourselves your lives and services to this imperial throne. There is no bar to make against your highness claim to France, but this which they produce from Pharamond. No woman shall succeed in Salic land, which Salic land the French unjustly gloss to be the realm of France. Yet their own authors faithfully affirm that the Salic land is in Germany, where Charles the Great, having subdued the Saxons, there left behind and settled certain French, who, holding in disdain the German women, established then this law: no wit, no female should be inheritrix in Salic land, which Salic, as I said, is at this day in Germany. Then doth it well appear that Salic law was not devised for the realm of France, nor did the French possess the Salic land until 421 years after the defunction of King Pharamond. Idly suppose the founder of this law, when Charles the Great subdued the Saxons and did seat the French in the year 1805. Besides, their writers say, King Pepin, being descended of Bleithold, which was daughter to King Clothair, may claim and title to the crown of France. Hugh Capet also, who usurped the crown of Charles the Duke of Lorraine, sole heir male of the true line and stock of Charles the Great, to find himself his title with some shows of truth, conveyed himself as to the heir of the Lady Lingaire, daughter to Charlemagne, who was the grandson of Charles the Great. Also, King Louis X, who was sole heir to the usurper Capet, could not keep quiet in his conscience, wearing the crown of France, till satisfied that the Queen Isabel, his grandmother, was lineal of the Lady Hermanegere. Yes, that's true. Daughter to Charles, the aforesaid Duke of Lorraine. So that, as clear as the summer sun, King Pepin's title, and Hugh Capet's claim, King Louis his satisfaction, all appear to hold right and title of the female. So do the kings of France unto this day. Howbeit they would hold up this Salic law to bar your highness claiming from the female, and rather choose to hide them in a net than apply to embar their crooked titles usurped from you and your progenitors.
May I with right and conscience make this claim?
The sin upon my head, dread sovereign, for in the book of Numbers it is writ. Oh, sorry. It's here. When the man dies, let the inheritance descend onto the daughter. Gracious Lord, look back into your mighty ancestors. Go, my dread lord, to your great-grandsire's tomb, from whom you claim, invoke his warlike spirit, and your great-uncle's Edward the Black Prince, who on the French ground played a tragedy, making defeat unto the full power of France. Awake remembrance of these valiant dead, and with your puissant arm renew their feats. You are their heir. You sit upon their throne. The blood and courage that renowned them runs in your veins.
Exeter.
Your brother kings and monarchs of the earth do all expect that you should rouse yourself, as did the former lions of your blood.
They know your grace hath cause and means and might. So hath your highness. Never king of England had nobles richer and more loyal subjects, whose hearts have left their bodies here in England and lie pavilioned in the fields of France.
Oh, let their bodies follow, my dear liege, with blood and sword and fire to win your right. In aid whereof we of spirituality will raise your highness such a mighty sum as never did the clergy at one time bring to any of your ancestors.
Call in the messengers sent from the Dauphin.
Exeunt some attendants.
Now, are we well resolved, and by God's help and yours, the noble sinews of our power, France being ours, will bend it to our awe, or break it all to pieces. Or there we'll sit, ruling in large and ample empery, over France and all her almost kingly dukedoms, or lay his bones in an unworthy urn, tombless, with no remembrance over them. Either our history shall with full mouth speak freely of our acts, or else our grave.
Enter Montjoy.
Now are we well prepared to know the pleasure of our fair cousin Dauphin, for we hear your greeting is from him, not from the king. Therefore, with frank and with uncurbed plainness, tell us the Dauphin's mind.
Your Highness, lately sending into France, did claim some certain dukedoms in the right of your great predecessor, King Edward III, in answer of which claim, the prince, our master, says that you savor too much of your youth and bids you be advised you cannot revel into dukedoms there. He therefore sends you meter for your spirit, this ton of treasure. And in lieu of this, desires you let the dukedoms that you claim hear no more of you. This the Dauphin speaks.
What treasure, uncle?
Exeter opens the gift.
Tennis balls, my liege.
We are glad the Dauphin is so pleasant with us. His present and your pains we thank you for. When we have marched our rackets to these balls, we will in France, by God's grace, play a set. Shall strike his father's crown into the hazard. Tell him he hath made a match with such a wrangler that all the courts of France will be disturbed with chases. And we understand him well. How he comes o'er us with our wilder days, not measuring what use we made of them. We never valued this poor seat of England, and therefore living hence, did give ourself to barbarous license, as 'tis ever common that men are merriest when they are from home. But tell the Dauphin, I will keep my state, be like a king, and show my sail of greatness, when I do rouse me in the throne of France, for that I have laid by my majesty and plodded like a man for working days. But I will rise there with so full a glory that I will dazzle all the eyes of France. Yea, strike the Dauphin blind to look on us, and tell the pleasant prince this mock of his hath turned his balls to gunstones, and his soul shall stand sore charged for the wasteful vengeance that shall fly with them. For many a thousand widows shall this his mock out of their dear husbands, mock mothers from their sons, mock castles down, and some are yet ungotten and unborn that shall have cause to curse the Dauphin's scorn. But this lies all within the will of God, to whom I do appeal, and in whose name tell you the Dauphin I am coming on, my rightful hand in a well-hallowed cause. So get you hence in peace, and tell the Dauphin his jest will savour but of shallow wit, when thousands weep more than did laugh at it. Convey them with safe conduct. Fare you well.
Exeunt attendants with MONTJOY.
This was a merry message.
We hope to make the sender blush at it. Therefore, my lords, omit no happy hour that may give furtherance to our expedition, for we have now no thought in us but France. Therefore, let our proportions for these wars be soon collected, and all things thought upon that may with reasonable swiftness add more feathers to our wings. For God before will chide this Dauphin at his father's door. Therefore let every man now task his thought, that this fair action may on foot be brought.
Exeunt. Flourish. Act 2, Prologue. Enter chorus.
Now all the youth of England are on fire, and silken dalliance in the wardrobe lies. Now thrive the armorers, and honor's thought reigns solely in the breast of every man. For now sits expectation in the air, and hides a sword from hilts unto the point, with crowns imperial, crowns and coronets promised to Harry and his followers. The French, advised by good intelligence of this most dreadful preparation, shake in their fear, and with pale policy seek to divert the English purposes. O England, model to thy inward greatness, like little body with a mighty heart, what mightst thou do that honor would thee do? Were all thy children kind and natural? But see, thy fault France hath in thee found out, a nest of hollow bosoms which he fills with treacherous crowns. Grey, Knight of Northumberland, have for the guilt of France, oh guilt indeed, confirmed conspiracy with fearful France, and by their hands this grace of kings must die. If hell and treason told their promises, ere he take a ship for France, and in Southampton the sum is paid, the traitors are agreed. There is the playhouse now, there must you sit, and thence to France shall we convey you safe and bring you back, charming the narrow seas, to give you gentle pass, for if we may, we'll not offend one stomach with our play.
Exit chorus. Scene 1, London, a street. Enter Corporal Nyme and Lieutenant Bardolph.
Well met, Corporal Nym.
Good morning, Lieutenant Bardolph.
What, are ancient pistol and your friends yet?
For my part, I care not. I say little, but when time shall serve, there shall be smiles. But that shall be as it may. I dare not fight, but I will wink and hold out my iron, and there's an end.
I will bestow a breakfast to make you friends, and we'll be all three sworn brothers to France. Let it be so, good Corporal Nym.
Faith, I will live so long as I may, that the certain of it. And when I cannot live any longer, I will do as I may.
It is certain, Corporal, that he is married to Nell Quickly, and certainly she did you wrong, for you were troth plight to her.
Things must be as they may. Men may sleep and they may have their throats about them at that time, and some say knives have edges. It must be as it may. There must be conclusions. Well, I cannot tell.
Enter Pistol and Mistress Quickly.
Here comes Ancient Pistol and his wife. Good Corporal, be patient here. How now, mine host Pistol?
Base tyke, thou callest thou me host. Now by this hand I swear I scorn the term. Now shall my Nell, nor shall my Nell keep lodgers.
No, by my troth, not long, for we cannot lodge and board a dozen or 14 gentlewomen that live honestly by the prick of their needles, but it will be thought we keep a boarding house straight.
Nim and Pistol draw their swords.
Ah!
Oh, well a day, lady. If he be not drawn now, we shall see willful adultery and murder committed.
Good Lieutenant, good Corporal, offer nothing here.
Pish for thee, Iceland dog, thou prick-eared cur of Iceland.
A good Corporal Nim, show thy valor and put up your sword.
Will you shut off? I would have you solace.
Solace, egregious dog. Oh, viper vile, the solace in thy most marvelous face, the solace in thy teeth and in thy throat and in thy hateful lungs, yea, in thy maw purdy, and, which is worse, within thy and flashing fire will follow.
If you grow foul with the Pistol, I will scour you with my rapier, as I may in fair terms, and that's the humor of it.
Hear me.
Might and fury shall abate.
Ah, I will cut thy throat one time or another in fair terms. That is the humor of it.
I thee defy again, O hound of Crete. Thinkest thou my spouse to get? I have, and I will hold the quondam quickly for the only she, and Porsa, that's enough. There's enough. Go to.
Mine host Pistol, you must come to my master, and you, hostess. He is very sick and would to bed. Faith, he's very ill.
By my troth, the king hath killed his heart. Oh, good husband, come home presently.
Exeunt Mistress Quickly and Boy.
Come, shall I make you two friends? We must to France together. Why the devil should we keep knives to cut one another's throats?
You'll pay me the 8 shillings I won of you at betting.
Base is the slave that pays.
That now I will have. That's the humor of it.
As manhood shall compound. Push home.
They draw. Bardolph draws after.
By this sword, he that makes the first thrust, I'll kill him. By this sword I will. Corporal Nim, and thou wilt be friends, and thou wilt not. Why then be enemies with me too? Prithee, put up.
I shall have my 8 shillings I won of you at betting.
Pistol sheathes his sword.
A noble shalt thou have, and present pay, and liquor likewise will I give to thee, and friendship shall combined, and brotherhood. I'll live by Nim, and Nim shall live by me. Is not this just? For I shall suffer, for I shall sutler be unto the camp, and profits will accrue. Give me thy hand.
I shall have my noble.
In cash, most justly paid.
Well then, that's the humor of it.
Nim and Bardolph sheathe their swords. Re-enter Mistress Quickly.
Oh, as ever you came of women, come in quickly to Sir John, our poor heart. He is so shaped of a burning quotidian tertian, that is most lamentable to behold. O sweet men, come to him.
The king hath right bad humors on the night.
His heart is fracted and corroborate.
The king is a good king, but it must be as it may, passes some humors and careers.
Let us condole the night, for lambskins we will live.
Scene 2, Southampton, a council chamber. Enter Exeter, Prince John, now the Duke of Bedford, and Westmoreland.
For God, his grace is bold to trust these traitors.
Smooth and even they do bear themselves, as if allegiance in their bosom set crowned with faith and constant loyalty.
The king hath note of all that they intend, by interception which they dream not of.
Nay, but Lord Scroop, that was his bedfellow, whom he hath dulled and cloyed with gracious favours, that he should, for a foreign purse, so sell his sovereign's life to death and treachery.
Trumpets sound. Enter King Henry, Scroop, Cambridge, Grey, and attendants.
Now sits the wind fair, and we will aboard. My lord of Cambridge, and my kind lord of and you, my gentle knight, give me your thoughts. Think you not that the powers we bear with us will cut their passage through the force of France, doing the execution and the act for which we have in head assembled them?
No doubt, my liege, if each man do his best.
I doubt not that, since we are well persuaded, we carry not a heart with us from hence that grows not in a fair consent with ours.
Never was monarch better feared and loved than is your majesty. There's not, I think, a subject that sits in heart grief and uneasiness under the sweet shade of your government.
We therefore have great cause of thankfulness, and shall forget the office of our hand sooner than quittance of desert and merit, according to the weight and worthiness. Uncle of Exeter, enlarge the man committed yesterday that railed against our person. We consider it was excess of wine that set him on, and on his more advice, we pardon him.
Oh, that's mercy, but too much security. Let him be punished, sovereign, lest example breed by his sufferance more of such a kind.
Oh, let us yet be merciful.
So may your highness, and yet punish too.
Alas, your too much love and care of me are heavy orisons gainst this poor wretch. If little faults proceeding on distemper shall not be winked at, how shall we stretch our eye when capital crimes, chewed, swallowed, and digested, appear before us? Will yet and now to our French causes. Who are the late commissioners?
Your highness bade us ask for it today.
Then Richard Earl of Cambridge, there is yours. They're yours, Lord Scroop of Masham, and Sir Knight Grey of Northumberland, the same as yours. Read them, and I know your worthiness. My lord of Westmoreland and Uncle Exeter, we will aboard tonight. Why, how now, gentlemen? What see you in those papers that you lose so much complexion? Look you, how they change. Their cheeks are paper. Why, what read you there that hath so cowarded and chased your blood out of appearance?
I do confess my fault, and do submit me to your highness's mercy.
The mercy that was quick in us but late, by your own counsel, is suppressed and killed. You must not dare, for shame, to talk of mercy, for your own reasons turn into your bosoms as dogs upon their masters, worrying you. You know how apt our love was, Lord of Cambridge, to furnish you with all appurtenance belonging to your honor, and this man hath, for a few light crowns, lightly conspired and sworn unto the practices of France to kill us here in Hampton, to the which this knight, no less for bounty bound to us than Cambridge is, hath likewise sworn. But oh, what shall I say to thee, Lord Scroop, thou cruel, ingrateful, savage, and inhuman creature? Thou didst bear the key of all my counsels, knewest the very bottom of my soul. May it be possible that foreign hire could out of thee extract one spark of evil that might annoy my finger? 'Tis so strange that though the truth of it stands off as gross as black and white, my eye will scarcely see it. Treason and murder ever kept together as two yoked devils sworn to either's purpose, working so grossly in a natural cause that admiration did not whoop at them. But thou, against all proportion, didst bring in wonder to wait on treason and on murder, and whatsoever cunning fiend it was that wrought upon thee so preposterously hath got the voice in hell for excellence. Oh, how hast thou with jealousy infected the sweetness of affiance? Show men dutiful? Why so didst thou? Seem they grave and learned? Why so didst thou? Come they of noble family? Why so didst thou? Seem they religious? Why so didst thou? Such and so finely bolted didst thou seem. And thus thy fall hath left a kind of blot to mark the full-fraught man with some suspicion. I will weep for thee, for this revolt of thine, methinks, is like another fall of man. Their faults are open. Arrest them to the answer of the law, and God acquit them of their practices.
I arrest thee of high treason by the name of Richard, Earl of Cambridge. I arrest thee of high treason by the name of Henry, Lord Scroop of Masham. I arrest thee of high treason by the name of Thomas Gray, Knight of Northumberland.
Never did faithful subject more rejoice at the discovery of most dangerous treason than I do at this hour, joy o'er myself. Prevented from a damned enterprise, my fault, but not my body. Pardon, sovereign.
Exeunt Cambridge, Scroop, and Gray, guarded.
Now, lords, for France, the enterprise whereof shall be to you as us, like glorious. We doubt not of a fair and lucky war, since God so graciously hath brought to light this dangerous treason lurking in our way to hinder our beginnings. We doubt not now, but every rub is smoothed on our way. Then forth, dear countrymen, let us deliver our puissance into the hand of God, putting it straight in expedition, cheerly to see the signs of war advance. No king of England, if not king of France.
Exeunt. Scene 3, London, before a tavern. Enter Pistol, Mistress Quickly, Nym, Bardolph, and Boy.
Prithee, honey, sweet husband, let me bring thee to stain.
No, for my manly heart doth yearn. Bardolph, be belithe. Nym, rouse my vaunting veins. Boy, bristle thy courage up. For Falstaff, he is dead, and we must yearn therefore.
Would I were with him, wheresoe'er he is, either in heaven or in hell.
Oh, nay, sure, he's not in hell. He's in Arthur's bosom, if ever man went to Arthur's bosom. He made a fire and went away, and it had been any Christian child. Oh, he parted even just before 12 and 1, even at the turning of the tide, after I saw him tumble with the sheets and smile upon his fingers' ends. I knew there was but one way, for he babbled of green fields. How now, Sir John, quoth I, what, man, be a good dear. So he cried out, God, God, God 3 or 4 times now. I comfort him. I bid him he should not think of God. No need to trouble himself with any such thoughts yet. So he bade me lie his clothes on his feet. I put my hand into the bed and felt them, and they were cold as any stone. Then I felt to his knees, and they were cold as stone. And so upward and upward, and all was as cold as any stone.
They say he cried out of sack.
Aye, that he did.
And of women.
Oh, nay, he did not.
Yes, that he did. And said the devils were incarnate. He said once the devil would have him about women.
Well, did in some sort indeed handle women, but then he was rheumatic and talked of the whore of Babylon.
Well, the fuel is gone that maintained that fire.
Shall we shock? The king will be gone from Southampton.
Come, let's away, my love. Give me thy lips.
Pistol and mistress quickly kiss.
Look to my chattels and my movables. Let senses rule. The word is pitch and pay. Trust none, for oaths are straws. Men's faiths are wafer cakes. Therefore, caveato be thy counselor. Go, clear thy crystals, yoke fellows in arms. Let us to France, like horse leeches, my boys, to suck the very blood, to suck. Touch her soft mouth and march.
Farewell, hostess.
Bardolph kisses mistress quickly.
I did not kiss. That is the humor of it. But adieu.
Farewell, adieu.
Exeunt. Scene 4, France. The king's palace. Flourish. Enter the king of France, the Dauphin, constable of France, and other French lords.
Yes. Thus comes the English with full power upon us, and more than carefully it us concerns to answer royally in our defenses. Therefore, the Dukes of Berry and of Brittany, of Brabant and of Orleans shall make forth, and you, Prince Dauphin, with all swift dispatch, to line and new repair our towns of war, with men of courage and with means defendant. For England his approaches make as fierce as waters to the sucking of a gulf. It fits us then to be as provident as fear may teach us out of late examples, left by the fatal and neglected English upon our fields.
My most redoubted father, it is most meet we arm us gainst the foe, for peace itself should not so dull a kingdom. The war nor no known quarrel were in question, but that defenses, musters, preparations should be maintained, assembled and collected, as were a war in expectation. Therefore, I say 'tis meet we all go forth to view the sick and feeble parts of France, and let us do it with no show of fear, for, my good liege, England is so idly kinged, her sceptre so fantastically borne by a vain, giddy, shallow, humorous youth, that fear attends her not.
Oh, peace, Prince Dauphin. You are too much mistaken in this king. Question your grace, the late ambassadors, with what great state he had heard their embassy, how well supplied with noble counselors, how modest in exception, and withal how terrible in constant resolution, and you shall find his vanities forspent.
Well, 'tis not so, my Lord High Constable. But though we think it so, it is no matter. In cases of defense, 'tis best to weigh the enemy more mighty than he seems.
Think we King Harry strong, and princes, look you strongly armed to meet him. The kindred of him hath been fleshed upon us, and he is bred out of that bloody strain that haunted us in our familiar paths. Witness our too much memorable shame when Cressy battle fatally was struck, and all our princes captivated by the hand of that black name, Edward, Black Prince of Wales. This is a stem of that victorious stock, and let us fear the native mightiness and fate of him.
Enter Exeter with train.
Ambassadors from Harry, King of England, do crave admittance to your majesty.
From our brother England?
From him, and thus he greets your majesty. He wills you in the name of God Almighty that you divest yourself and lay apart the borrowed glories that, by gift of heaven, by law of nature and nations, belongs to him and his heirs, namely the crown, and all the wide-stretched honors that pertain by custom and the ordinance of time unto the crown of France. That you may know 'tis no sinister nor awkward claim, picked from the wormholes of long-vanished days, nor from the dust of old oblivion raked. He sends you this most memorable line. In every branch truly demonstrative, willing to overlook this pedigree, and when you find him evenly derived from this most famed of famous ancestors, Edward III, he bids you then resign your crown and your kingdom, indirectly held from him, the native and true challenger.
Or else what follows?
Bloody constraint. For if you hide the crown even in your hearts, there he will rake for it. Therefore in fierce tempest is he coming. Deliver up the crown and take mercy on the poor souls for whom this hungry war opens his vasty jaws. And on your head, turning the widow's tears, the orphan's cries, the dead man's blood, the private maiden groans, for husbands, fathers, and betrothed lovers that shall be swallowed in this controversy. This is his claim, his threatening, and my message. Unless the Dauphin be in presence here, to whom expressly I bring greeting to.
I stand here for him. What to him from England?
Scorn and defiance, slight regard, contempt, and anything that may not misbecome the mighty sender, doth he prize you at. Thus says my king, and if your father's highness do not in grant of all demands at large, sweeten the bitter mock you sent his majesty, he'll call you to so hot an answer for it, the caves and whoomy voltages of France shall chide your trespass and return your mock in second accent of his accordance.
Say, if my father render fair return, it is against my will, for I desire nothing but odds with England.
He'll make your Paris Louvre shake for it, were it the mistress's court of mighty France, of mighty Europe.
Tomorrow shall you know our mind at full.
Dispatch us with all speed, lest that our king come here himself to question our delay, for he is footed in this land already.
You shall be soon dispatches with fair conditions. A night is but small breath and little pause to answer matters of this consequence.
Flourish. Exeox. Act 3, Prologue. Enter Chorus.
Thus, with imagined wing, our swift scene flies in motion of no less celerity than that of thought. Suppose that you have seen the well-appointed king at Dover Pier embark his royalty and his brave fleet. Play with your fancies, and in them behold upon the hempen tackle ship boys climbing. Hear the shrill whistle which doth order give to sounds confused. Behold Behold the threatened sails borne with the invisible and creeping wind. Draw the huge bottoms through the furrowed sea, breasting the lofty surge. Follow, follow to Harfleur. Leave your England, as dead midnight still, guarded with grandsires, babies, and old women, either past or not arrived to pith and puissance. For who is he whose chin is but enriched with one appearing hair that will not follow these culled and choice-drawn cavaliers to France? Work your thoughts, and therein see a siege. Behold the ordnance on their carriages, with fatal mouths gaping on girded Harfleur. Suppose the ambassador from the French comes back, tells Harry that the king doth offer him Catherine his daughter, and with her to dowry some petty and unprofitable dukedoms. The offer likes not, and the nimble gunner with linstock now the devilish cannon touches.
Alarm and chambers go off.
And down goes all before them. Still, be kind, and eke out our performance with your mind.
Exit chorus. Scene 1, France. Before Harfleur. Alarm. Enter King Henry with his lords and soldiers with scaling ladders.
Once more unto the breach, dear friends, once more, or close the wall up with our English dead. In peace there's nothing so becomes a man as modest stillness and humility. But when the blast of war blows in our ears, then imitate the action of the tiger. Stiffen the sinews, summon up the blood, disguise fair nature with hard-favored rage. Then lend the eye a terrible aspect, that the brow o'erwhelm it as fearfully as doth a galled rock o'erhang and jutty the wild and wasteful ocean. Now set the teeth, and stretch the nostril wide, hold hard the breath, and bend up every spirit to his full height. On, you noblest English, whose blood is fet from fathers of war-proof thought, fathers that like so many Alexanders have in these parts from morn till even fought. Dishonor not your mothers, now attest that those whom you called fathers did beget you, be copy now to men of grosser blood, and teach them how to war. Let us swear that you are worth your breeding, which I doubt not, for there is none of you so mean and base that hath not noble luster in your eyes. I see you stand like greyhounds in the slips, straining upon the start. The game's afoot. Follow your spirit, and upon this charge cry, God for Harry, England, and St. George.
Exeunt. Alarm and chambers go off. Scene 2 the same. Enter Nym, Bardolph, Pistol, and Boy.
On, to the breach, to the breach.
Pray thee, corporal, stay. Knocks are too hot, and for mine own part I have not a cause of lives. The humor of it is too hot. That is the very plain song of it.
The plain song is most just, for humors do abound. Knocks go and come, God's vassals drop and die, and sword and shield in bloody field doth win immortal fame.
Would I were in an alehouse in London! I would give all my fame for a pot of ale and safety.
Up to the breach, you dogs! Avaunt, you cullions! Go!
Be merciful, great Duke, to men of mold. Abate thy rage, abate thy manly rage. Abate thy rage, great Duke. Use lenity, sweet chuck.
These be good humors. Your honor wins bad humors.
Exeunt all, driven off by FLUELLEN but Boy.
As young as I am, I have observed these three swashers. I am boy to them all three, but all they three, though they would serve me, could not be man to me. For indeed, three such antics do not amount to a man. For Baldorf, he is white-livered and red-faced. For Pistol, he hath a killing tongue, but a quiet sword. For Nym, he hath heard that men of few words are the best men, and therefore he scorns to say his prayers, lest he should be thought a coward. They will steal anything and call it purchase. They would have me as familiar with men's pockets as their gloves or their handkerchers, which makes much against my manhood. If I should take from another's pocket to put it into mine, for it is plain pocketing up of wrongs. I must leave them and seek some better service. Their villainy goes against my weak stomach, and therefore I must cast it up.
A parley sounds. The town sounds.
The town sounds a parley.
Exit boy. Scene 3 the same, before the gates. The governor and some citizens on the walls. The English forces below. Enter King Henry and his train.
How yet resolves the governor of the town? This is the latest parle, we will admit. Therefore, to our best mercy, give yourselves, or like to men proud of destruction, defy us to our worst. For, as I am a soldier, if I begin the battery once again, I will not leave the half-achieved Harfleur till in her ashes she lie buried. The gates of mercy shall be all shut up, and the fleshed soldier, rough and hard of heart, in liberty of blood hand, shall range with conscience wide as hell, mowing like grass your fresh fair virgins and your flowering infants. What is it then to me if impious war do with his smirched complexion all fell feats and linked to waste and desolation? What is to me when you yourselves are cause if your pure maidens fall into the hand of hot and forcing violation? Therefore, you men of Harfleur, take pity of your town and of your people, whilst yet my soldiers are in my command. If not, why, in a moment look to see the blind and bloody soldier with foul hand defile the locks of your thrill-seeking, shrieking daughters, your fathers taken by the silver beards, and their most reverend heads dashed to the walls, your naked infants spitted upon pikes, whilst the mad mothers with their howls confused do break the clouds. What say you? Will you yield, and this avoid, or guilty in defense be thus destroyed?
Our expectation hath this day an end. The Dauphin, whom of succors we entreated, returns us that this power are yet not ready to raise so great a siege. Therefore, great King, we yield our town and lives to thy soft mercy. Enter our gates, dispose of us and ours, for we no longer are defensible.
Open your gates! Come, Uncle Exeter, go you and enter Harfleur. There remain and fortify it strongly gainst the French. Use mercy to them all for us, dear uncle. The winter coming on and sickness growing upon our soldiers, we will retire to Calais. Tonight in Harfleur, we will be your guests. Tomorrow for the march are we addressed.
Flourish. The king and his train enter the town. Scene 4, the French king's palace. Enter Catherine and Alice.
Alice, toi étais en Angleterre et tu parles bien le langage.
Un peu, madame.
Je te prie, monseigneur, il faut que je prenne à parler. Comment appelez-vous la main en anglais?
La main, elle est appelée the hand.
The hand.
Mhm.
Et le doigt?
Les doigts, oh ma foi, j'oublie les doigts, mais je me souviendrai les doigts. Je pense qu'ils sont appelés des fingers. Oui, des fingers.
La main? The hand. Les doigts? Le fingers.
Oui.
Je pense que je suis le bon écolier. J'ai connu 2 mots d'anglais vitement. Comment appelez-vous les ongles?
Les ongles, nous les appelons the nails.
The nails. Écoutez, dites-moi si je parle bien. The hand?
Oui.
The fingers et de nails.
Ah, c'est bien dit, madame. Il est bon anglais.
Dites-moi l'anglais pour les bras.
De arme, madame.
Et le coude?
D'elbow.
D'elbow.
Oui.
Je m'en fais la répétition de tous les mots que vous m'avez appris dès à présent.
Madame, comme je pense.
Excusez-moi, Alice. Écoutez. The hand, the fingers, the nails, the armor, the elbow.
The elbow, madame.
Oh, Seigneur Dieu, je m'en oublie. D'elbow. Comment appelez-vous le cou?
De nick, madame.
De nick. Et le menton?
De chin.
De chin. Le col de nick, le menton de chin.
Oui. Sauf votre honneur, en vérité, vous prononcez les mots aussi droit que les naïfs Angleterre.
Je ne doute point d'apprendre par la grâce de Dieu et un peu de temps.
N'avez-vous pas déjà oublié ce que je vous ai enseigné?
Non, je reciterai à vous promptement. The hand, the fingers, the nails.
The nails, madame.
The nails, the arm, the elbow.
Sauf votre honneur, the elbow.
On s'est dit, the elbow, the nick et the chin. Comment appelez-vous le pied et la robe?
Le foot, madame, et le count.
Le foot et le compte? Oh, Seigneur Dieu, ils sont le mot de son mauvais, corruptible, grosse et impudique, et non pour les dames sans air d'user. Je ne voudrais prononcer ces mots devant les seigneurs de France pour tout le monde. Le foot et le compte. Néanmoins, je reciterai une autre fois ma leçon ensemble. The hand, the finger, the nails, d'arm, the elbow, the nick, the chin, the foot, le compte.
Excellent, madame.
C'est assez pour une fois. Allons-nous à dîner.
Ah oui.
Excellent. Scene 5, the same. Enter the King of France, the Dauphin, Constable of France, and many other French lords.
'Tis certain he hath passed the river Somme.
And if he be not fought withal, my lord, let us not live in France. Let us quit all, and give our vineyards to a barbarous people. Dieu de Bâtir, where have they this metal? It is not their climate foggy, raw, and dull, on whom, as in despite, the sun looks pale, killing their fruit with frowns. Can sodden water, their barley broth, decoct their cold blood to such valiant heat? And call our quick blood, spirited with wine, seem frosty? Oh, for honor of our land, let us not hang like roping icicles upon our houses' thatch, while some more frosty people sweat drops of gallant youth on our rich fields.
By faith and honor, our madams mock at us and plainly say our metal is bred out, and they will give their bodies to the lust of English youth to new store France with bastard warriors, saying our grace is only in our heels, and that we are most lofty runaways.
Where is Montjoy the herald? Speed him hence. Let him greet England with our sharp defiance. Up, princes, and, with spirit of honor edged, more sharper than your swords, high to the field. Charles de Bref, High Constable of France, you Dukes of Orleans, Bourbon, and of Berry, Alençon, Brabant, Bar, and Burgundy, Jacques, Chatillon, Ramure, Valdemont, Beaumont, Grand Pré, Roussy, and Falconbridge, Faux, Lestrade, Boucicault, and Charleroi, high dukes and great princes, barons, lords, and knights, for your great seats now quit you of great shames. Bar, Harry, England, that sweeps through our land, with pennons painted in the blood of Harfleur. Go down upon him, you have power enough, and in a captive chariot into ruin, bring him our prisoner.
This becomes the great! Sorry am I, this numbers are so few. His soldiers sick and famished in their march. For I am sure, when he shall see our army, he'll drop his heart into the sink of fear, and for achievement offer us his ransom.
Therefore, Lord Constable, haste on Montjoy, and let him say to England that we send to know what willing ransom he will give. Prince Dauphin, you shall stay with us here in Rouen.
Not so, I do beseech your majesty.
Be patient, for you shall remain with us. Now forth, Lord Constable and princes all, and quickly bring us word of England's fall.
Exeunt. Scene 6, the English camp in Picardy. Enter Gower and FLUELLEN meeting.
How now, Captain FLUELLEN? Come you from the bridge?
I assure you there is very excellent services committed at the bridge.
Is the Duke of Exeter safe?
The Duke of Exeter is as magnanimous as Agamemnon, and a man that I love and honor with my soul and my heart and my duty, my life and my living and my utmost power. He is not. God be praised and blessed, any hurt in the world, but keeps the bridge most valiantly with excellent discipline. There is an ancient lieutenant there at the bridge. I think in my very conscience, he is as valiant as man as Mark Antony, and he is a man of no estimation in the world, but did see him do as gallant service.
What do you call him?
He is called Ancient Pistol.
I know him not.
Enter Pistol.
Ah, Captain, I thee beseech to do me favors. The Duke of Exeter doth love thee well.
Aye, I praise God, and I have merited some love at his hands.
Bardolph, a soldier firm and sound of heart, and of buxom valor, hath by cruel fate and giddy fortune's furious fickle wheel, that God is blind, that stands upon the rolling restless stone.
By your patience, Ancient Pistol, Fortune is painted with a muffler above her ears, to signify to you that Fortune is blind. And she is painted also with wheel to signify to you, which is the moral of it, that she is turning and inconstant, and mutability and variation. In good truth, the poet makes a most excellent description of it. Fortune is an excellent moral.
Fortune is Bardolph's foe and frowns on him, for he hath stolen a pax, and hanged must he be, a damned death. But Exeter hath given the doom of death for pax of little price. Therefore go speak, the Duke will hear thy voice, and let not Bardolph's vital thread be cut with edge of penny cord and vile reproach. Speak, Captain, for his life, and I will thee requite.
Ancient Pistol, I do partly understand your meaning.
Why, then, rejoice therefore.
Certainly, Ancient. It is not a thing to rejoice at, for if, look you, he were my brother, I would desire the Duke to use his good pleasure and put him to execution, for discipline ought to be used.
Die and be damned, and figo for thy friendship.
Exit Pistol, making an obscene hand gesture.
Why, this is an arrant counterfeit rascal. I remember him now, a bawd, a cut-purse. Why, 'tis a gull, a fool, a rogue, and now and then goes to the wars to grace himself at his return into London under the form of a soldier. And such fellows are perfect in the great commanders' names. You by rote, where the services were done at such and such a sconce, at such and such a beach, at such a convoy, who came, who disgraced, and perfectly in the phrase of war. But you must learn to know such slanders of the age, or else you may.
I'll assure you, he uttered as brave words at the bridge as you shall see in this summer's day. But I tell you what, Captain Gower, I do perceive he is not the man that he would gladly make show to the world. He is, if I find a hole in his coat, I will tell him my mind.
A drum is heard.
Hark you, the king is coming, and I must speak with him from the bridge.
Drum and colors, enter King Henry, Bedford, and soldiers.
God bless your majesty.
How now, Fluellen? Camest thou from the bridge?
Aye, so please your majesty. The Duke of Exeter has very gallantly maintained the bridge. The French is gone off, look you, and the Duke of Exeter is master of the bridge. I can tell your majesty, the Duke is a brave man.
What then have you lost, Fluellen?
The perdition of the adversary hath been very great, reasonable great. Marry, for my part, I think the Duke hath lost never a man, but one that is like to be executed for robbing a church, one Bardolph, if your majesty know the man.
Would have all such offenders so cut off. We give express charge that in our marches through the country there be nothing compelled from the villages, nothing taken but paid for, none of the French upbraided or abused in disdainful language. For when lenity and cruelty play for a kingdom, the gentler gamester is the soonest winner.
Enter Montjoy.
You know me by my habit.
What shall I know of thee?
My master's mind. Thus says my king. Say thou to Harry of England, though we seemed dead, we did but sleep. Advantage is a better soldier than rashness. Tell him we could have rebuked him at Hoffler, but that we thought not good to bruise an injury till it were full ripe. Now we speak upon our cue, and our voice is imperial. England shall repent his folly, see his weakness, and admire our sufferance. Bid him therefore consider of his ransom, which must proportion the losses we have borne, the subjects we have lost, the disgrace we have digested. For our losses his exchequer is too poor, and for our disgrace his own person kneeling at our feet but a weak and worthless satisfaction. To this add defiance, and tell him for conclusion, he hath betrayed his followers, whose condemnation is pronounced.
What is thy name?
Montjoy.
Thou dost thy office fairly. Turn thee back, and tell thy king I do not seek him now, but could be willing to march on to Calais without impeachment, for to say the sooth, though 'tis no wisdom to confess so much, unto an enemy of craft and vantage, my people are with sickness much enfeebled, my numbers lessened, and those few I have almost no better than so many French, who when they were in health, I tell thee, herald, I thought upon one pair of English legs did march 3 Frenchmen. Yet forgive me, God, that I do brag thus. This your heir of France hath blown that vice in me. I must repent. Go, therefore, tell thy master, here I am. My ransom is this frail and worthless trunk, my army but a weak and sickly guard. Yet, God before, tell him we will come on through France himself, and such other neighbor stand in our way. Go bid thy master well. Advise himself, if we may pass, we will. If we be hindered, we shall your tawny ground with your red blood discolor. The sum of all our answer is but this: we would not seek a battle as we are, nor as we are, we will not shun it. There's for thy labor.
He pays Montjoy.
And so, Montjoy, you will.
I shall deliver so. Thanks to your highness.
Exit MONTJOY.
Bedford,
I hope they will not come upon us now.
we are in God's hand, brother, not in theirs. March to the bridge. It now draws toward night. Beyond the river we'll encamp ourselves, and on tomorrow bid them march away.
Exeunt. Scene 7, the French camp near Agincourt. Scene 7, the French camp near Agincourt. Enter Constable of France, Orleans, Dauphin, and the Duke of Burgundy with French lords.
Ha! I have the best armor of the world. Would it were day.
You have an excellent armor, but let my horse have his due.
It is the best horse in Europe.
Will it never be morning?
My Lord of Orleans and my Lord High Constable, you talk of horse and armor?
Aye.
You are as well provided as of both as any prince in the world.
What a long night this is. I will not change my horse with any that treads but on 4 pasterns. Sa, ha! He bounds from the earth as if his entrails were hares. Le cheval volant, the Pegasus, qui a les narines de feu. When I bestride him, I soar. I am a hawk. He trots the air. The earth sings when he touches it. The basest horn of his hoof is more musical than the pipe of Hermes.
He's of the color of the nutmeg.
And of the heat of the ginger. He is pure air and fire. He is indeed a horse, and all other jades you may call beasts.
Indeed, my lord, it is a most absolute and excellent horse.
It is the prince of palfreys. His neigh is like the bidding of a monarch, and his countenance enforces homage.
No more, cousin.
Nay, the man hath no wit that cannot, from the rising of the lark to the lodging of the lamb, vary deserved praise upon my palfrey. 'Tis a subject for a sovereign to reason on, and for a sovereign to ride on, and for the world to wonder at him. I once writ a sonnet in his praise, and began thus: wonder of nature.
I have heard a sonnet begin so to one's mistress.
Then did they imitate that which I composed to my courser, for my horse is my mistress.
Ah, your mistress bears well.
Me well, which is the prescript praise and perfection of a good and particular mistress.
Nay, for methought yesterday your mistress shrewdly shook your back.
So perhaps did yours.
Mine was not bridled.
Oh, then belike she was old and gentle, and you rode like a kern of Ireland your French hose off, and in your straight strosses.
Ooh.
Be warned by me, they that ride so and ride not warily fall into foul bogs. I had rather have my horse to my mistress.
My lord constable.
I'd had as lief my mistress as a jade.
Thou makest use of anything.
Yet do I not use my horse for my mistress.
My lord.
Lord.
Some of them will fall tomorrow, I hope.
And yet my sky shall not want.
That may be, for you bear a many superfluously.
Even as your horse bears your praises, Who would trot as well were some of your brags dismounted?
Would I were able to load him with his desert. Will it never be day? I will trot tomorrow a mile, and my way shall be paved with English faces. 'Tis midnight. I'll go arm myself.
Exit DAUPHIN.
The Dauphin longs for morning.
He longs to eat the English.
I think he will eat all he kills.
By the white hand of my lady, he is a gallant prince. He is simply the most active gentleman of France.
Doing is activity, and he will still be doing.
He never did harm that I heard of.
Nor will do none tomorrow. He will keep that good name still.
I know him to be valiant.
I was told that by one that knows him better than you.
What's he?
Marry, he told me so himself. He said he cared not who knew it.
He needs not. It is no hidden virtue in him.
By my faith, sir, but it is. Never anybody saw it but his lackey. 'Tis a hooded valor, and when it appears, it will bait.
Ill will never said well.
There is flattery in friendship.
And I will take up that with give the devil his due.
Oh, have at the very eye of that proverb a pox of the devil.
You are better at proverbs by how much a fool's bolt is soon shot.
You have shot ever.
'Tis not the first time you were overshot.
Enter MONTJOY.
My Lord High Constable, the English lie within 1,500 paces of your tents.
Woe, would it were day. Alas, poor Harry of England! He longs not for the dawning as we do.
What a wretched and peevish fellow is the King of England to mope with his flat-brained followers, so far out of his knowledge.
If the English had any apprehension, they would run away.
That they lack, for if their heads had any intellectual armor, they could never wear such heavy headpieces.
Come. Shall we about? Now it is time to arm.
It is now 2 o'clock, but let me see, by 10 we shall have each 100 Englishmen.
Boom! Exeunt.
Oh.
Act 4, Prologue. Enter Chorus.
Now entertain a conjecture of a time when creeping murmur and the pouring dark fills the wide vessel of the universe. From camp to camp, through the foul womb of night, fire answers fire, and through their paly flames each battle sees the other's umbered face. Steed threatens steed in high and boastful neighs, piercing the night's dull ear, and from the tents the armorers accomplishing the nights with busy hammers closing rivets up, give dreadful note of preparation. Proud of their numbers and secure in soul, the confident and over-lusty French do the low-rated English play at dice, and chide the cripple tardy-gated knight, who like a foul and ugly witch doth limp so tediously away. The poor condemned English, like sacrifices by their watchful fires, sit patiently and inly ruminate the morning's danger. Oh, now who will behold the royal captain of this ruined band walking from watch to watch, from tent to tent? For forth he goes and visits all his host, bids them good morrow with a modest smile, calls them brothers, friends, and countrymen, with cheerful semblance and sweet majesty, that every wretch, pining and pale before, beholding him, plucks comfort from his looks. A largesse universal like the sun, his liberal eye doth give to everyone. Thawing cold fear, that mean and gentle all behold as may unworthiness define. A little touch of Harry in the night. And so our scene must to the battle fly, where, oh, for pity, we shall much disgrace, with 4 or 5 most vile and ragged foils, right ill-disposed in brawl ridiculous, the name of Agincourt. Yet sit and see, minding true things by what their mockeries be.
Exit chorus. Scene 1. The English camp at Agincourt. Enter King Henry and Bedford.
Bedford, 'tis true that we are in great danger. The greater, therefore, should our courage be. There is some soul of goodness in things evil. Would men observingly distill it out? For our bad neighbor makes us early stirrers, which is both healthful and good husbandry. Besides, they are our outward consciences and preachers to us all, admonishing that we should dress us fairly for our end. 'Tis good for men to love their present pains upon example. So the spirit is eased, and when the mind is quickened, out of doubt, the organs, though defunct and dead before, break up their drowsy grave, and newly move with casted slow and fresh legerity. Brother, lend me a plain cloak, and at once commend me to the princes in our camp. Do my morrow to them, and anon desire them into my pavilion.
Bedford gives him a cloak.
I shall, my liege.
I and my bosom must debate a while, and then I would no other company.
The Lord in heaven bless thee, noble Harry.
Exit Bedford. King Henry disguises himself with the cloak. Enter Pistol.
Ah, qui vous là?
Friend,
Discuss unto me, art thou officer, or art thou base, common, and popular?
I am a gentleman of a company. What are you?
As good a gentleman as the emperor.
And you are a better than the king.
The king's a boar-cock, and a heart of gold, a lad of life, an imp of fame, of parents good, of fist most valiant. I kiss his dirty shoe, and from heartstring I love the lovely bully. What is thy name?
Harry Leroy.
Leroy? A Cornish name. Art thou of Cornish crew?
I am a Welshman.
Oh, knowest thou FLUELLEN?
Oh, yes.
Oh. Tell him I'll knock his leek about his pate upon St. Davy's Day.
Did not you wear your dagger in your cap that day? Must he knock that about yours?
Oh, art thou his friend?
Oh, and his kinsman too.
Ah, then Figo for thee, then.
I thank you. God be with you.
My name is Pistol called.
Exit Pistol.
It sorts well with your fierceness.
Enter Fluellen and Gower, passing.
Ah, Captain Fluellen.
So in the name of Jesus Christ, speak lower.
Why, the enemy is loud. You hear him all night.
If the enemy is an ass and a fool and a prating coxcomb, it is me, think you, that we should also, look you, be an ass and a fool and a prating coxcomb in your own conscience now?
I will speak lower.
Exit Gower and Fluellen.
There is much care and valor in this Welshman.
Enter some soldiers, including John Bates and Michael Williams.
We see yonder the beginning of the day, but I think we shall never see the end of it. Who goes there?
A friend.
Under what captain serve you?
Under Sir Thomas Erpingham.
A good old commander and a most kind gentleman. I pray you, what thinks he of our estate?
Even as men racked upon a sand that looked to be washed off the next tide.
He hath not told his thought to be the king? Oh, sorry.
No, nor it is not meet he should. For though I speak it to you, I think the king is but a man, as I am. All his senses have but human conditions. His ceremonies laid by, in his nakedness he appears but a man. And though his affections are higher mounted than ours, yet when they stoop with the like wing. Therefore, when he sees reason of fears as we do, his fears out of doubt be of the same relish as ours are. Yet in reason, no man should possess him with any appearance of fear, lest he by showing it should dishearten his army.
He may show what outward courage he will, but then I would be were here alone. So should he be sure to be ransomed, and a many a poor men's lives saved.
I dare say you love him not so ill, to wish him here alone. Howsoever you speak this to feel other men's minds, methinks I could not die anywhere so contented as in the king's company, his cause being just and his quarrel honorable.
That's more than we know.
Aye.
Go ahead.
Aye, or more than we should seek after, for we know enough. If we know we are the king's subjects, if his cause be wrong, our obedience to the king wipes us the crime of it out of us.
But if the cause be not good, the king himself hath a heavy reckoning to make. I am afeard there are few that die in a battle, for how can they charitably dispose of anything when blood is their argument? Now, if these men do not die well, it will be a black matter for the king that led them to it, who to disobey were against all proportion of subjection.
So, if a son that is by his father sent about merchandise do sinfully miscarry upon the sea, the imputation of his wickedness by your rule should be imposed upon his father that sent him. Or, if a servant under his master's command, transporting a sum of money, be assailed by robbers and die in many irreconciled iniquities, you may call the business of the master the author of the servant's damnation. But this is not so. The king is not bound to answer the particular endings of his soldiers, the father of his son, nor the master of his servant, for they purpose not their death when they purpose their services. Besides, there is no king, be his cause never so spotless, if it come to the arbitrament of swords, can try it out with all unspotted soldiers. Now, if these men have defeated the law and outrun native punishment, though they can outstrip men, they have no wings to fly from God. War is his beetle. War is vengeance. So that here men are punished for before breach of the king's laws, in now the king's quarrel. No more is the king guilty of their damnation than he was before guilty of those impieties for the which they are now visited. Every subject's duty is the king's, but every subject's soul is his own.
'Tis certain every man that dies ill, the ill upon his own head, the king is not to answer it.
I do not desire he should answer for me, and yet I determine to fight lustily for him.
I myself heard the king say he would not be ransomed.
Aye, he said so, to make us fight cheerfully. But when our throats are cut, he may be ransomed, and we ne'er the wiser.
Your reproof is something too round. I should be angry with you if the time were convenient.
Let it be a quarrel between us if you live.
I embrace it.
How shall I know thee again?
Give me any gauge of thine, and I will wear it in my bonnet. Then, if ever thou darest acknowledge it, I will make it my quarrel.
Here's my glove. Give me another of thine.
There.
They exchange gloves.
This will I also wear in my cap, if ever thou come to me and say after tomorrow, this is my glove, by this hand, I will take thee a box on the ear.
If ever I live to see it, I will challenge it.
Thou darest as well be hanged.
Well,
I
will do it, though I take thee in the king's company.
Be friends! You English fools, be friends! We have French quarrels anew, if you could tell how to reckon.
Keep thy word. Fare thee well.
Exeunt soldiers.
Upon the king, let us our lives, our souls, our debts, our careful wives, our children, and our sins lay on the king. We must bear all. O hard condition, twin-born with greatness, subject to the breath of every fool who sense no more can feel but his own wringing. What infinite heart's ease must kings neglect that private men enjoy? And what have kings that privates have not too, save ceremony, save general ceremony? And what art thou, thou idle ceremony? What kind of God art thou that sufferest more of mortal griefs than do thy worshippers? O ceremony, show me but thy worth. Art thou aught else but place, degree, and form, creating awe and fear in other men? What drink'st thou oft instead of homage, sweet but poison flattery? Oh, be sick, great greatness, and bid thy ceremony give thee cure. Canst thou, when thou commandst the beggar's knee, command the health of it? No, thou proud dream, that plays so subtly with a king's repose. I am a king, that find thee, and I know 'tis not the balm, the scepter, and the ball, the sword, the mace, the crown imperial, the intertissued robe of gold and pearl, the farced title running for the king, the throne he sits on, nor the tide of pomp that beats upon the high shore of this world. No, not all of these, thrice gorgeous ceremony. Not all these, laid in bed majestical, can sleep so soundly as the wretched slave, who with a body filled and vacant mind gets him to rest, crammed with distressful bread. And but for ceremony, such a wretch, winding up days with toil and nights with sleep, had the forehand and vantage of a king. The slave, a member of the county's peace, of the country's peace, enjoys it, but in gross brain little wots what watch the king keeps to maintain the peace, whose hours the peasant best advantages.
Enter Bedford.
My lord, your nobles, jealous of your absence, seek through your camp to find you.
Collect them all together at my tent. I'll be before thee.
I shall do it, my lord.
Exit Bedford.
O God of battle, steel my soldiers' hearts. Possess them not with fear. Take from them now the sense of reckoning or the opposed numbers. Pluck their hearts from them. Not today, O Lord. Oh, not today. Think not upon the fault my father made in compassing the crown. I, Richard's body, have interred anew, and on it have bestowed more contrite tears than from it issued forced drops of blood. 500 poor I have in yearly pay, who twice a day their withered hands hold up toward heaven to pardon blood. And I have built 2 chantries where the sad and solemn priests sing still for Richard's soul. More will I do, though all that I can do is nothing worth, since that my penitence comes after all. Imploring pardon.
My liege!
My brother's voice! Aye, I know thy errand. I will go with thee. The day, my friends, and all things stay for me.
Exit King Henry. Scene 2, the French camp. Enter the Dauphin, Orleans, Burgundy, and the French lords and soldiers.
The sun doth gild our armor. Up, my lords.
Montjoi, my horse, varlet.
Hark! How our steeds for present service neigh.
Enter Constable.
The English are embattled, you French peers. To horse, you gallant princes! Straight to horse! Do but behold yon poor and starved band, and your fair show shall suck away their souls, leaving them but the shales and husks of men. There is not work enough for all our hands, scarce blood enough in all our sickly veins to give each naked curtal axe a stain, that our French gallants shall today draw out and sheath for lack of sport. 'Tis positive against all exceptions, lords, that our superfluous lackeys and our peasants, who in unnecessary actions swarm about our squares of battle, were enough to purge this field of such a hiddling foe, though we upon this mountain's bases by took stand for idle speculation, but that our honors must not. What's to say? A very little let us do. When all is done, then let the trumpet sound and the tucket sonance and the note to mount, for our approach shall so much dare the field, that England shall couch down in fear and yield. Why do you stay so long, my lords of France? They have said their prayers, and they stay for death. To the field! Come, come away! The sun is nigh, and we outwear the day.
Exeunt. Scene 3, the English camp. Enter Bedford, Exeter, and Westmoreland, with other English lords, with all their hosts.
Where is the king?
The king himself is rode to view their battle.
Oh, fighting men, they have full 70,000. There's 5 to 1. Besides, they are all fresh.
God's arms strike with us. 'Tis a fearful odds. God be with you, princes all. I'll to my charge. If we no more meet till we meet in heaven, then joyfully, my noble lord of Bedford and my kind kinsmen, warriors all, adieu.
Farewell, good uncle, and good luck go with thee.
Farewell, kind lord. Fight valiantly today.
Exit Exeter.
and yet I do thee wrong to mind thee of it. For thou art framed of the firm truth of valor.
Enter King Henry.
Oh, that we'd now had here but 1/10,000 of those men in England that do no work today.
What's he that wishes so? Ah, my cousin Westmoreland? No, my fair cousin. If we are marked to die, we are enough to do our country loss. And if to live, the fewer men, the greater share of honor. God's will, I pray thee wish not one man more. By Jove, I am not covetous for gold, nor care I who doth feed upon my cost. It yearns me not if men my garments wear. Such outward things dwell not in my desires. But if it be a sin to covet honor, I am the most offending soul alive. God's peace, I would not lose so great an honor as one man more, methinks, would share from me, for the best hope I have. Oh, do not wish one more. Rather proclaim it, Westmoreland, through my host, that he which hath no stomach to this fight, let him depart. His passport shall be made, and crowns for convoy put in his purse. We would not die in that man's company, that fears his fellowship to die with us. This day is called the Feast of Crispian. He that outlives this day and comes safe home will stand o tiptoe when the day is named, and rouse him at the name of Crispian. He that shall see this day and live old age will yearly on the vigil feast his neighbors and say, tomorrow is St. Crispian. Then he will strip his sleeve and show his scars and say, these wounds I had on Crispin's day. Old men forget, yet all shall be forgot. But he'll remember with advantages what feats he did that day. Then shall our names, familiar in his mouth, and household words, Harry the King, Bedford and Exeter, Warwick and Talbot, Salisbury and Gloucester, be in their flowing cups freshly remembered. This story shall the good man teach his son, and Crispian shall ne'er go by from this day to the ending of the world, but we in it shall be remembered. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers, for he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother. Be he ne'er so vile, this day shall gentle his condition, and gentlemen in England now abed shall think themselves accursed they were not here, and hold their manhoods cheap while any speak that fought with us upon St. Crispin's day.
Re-enter Exeter.
My sovereign lord, bestow yourself with speed. The French are bravely in their battles set, and will with all expedience charge on us.
All things are ready if our minds be so.
Where's the man whose mind is backward now?
Thou dost not wish more help from England, coz?
God's will, my liege. Would you and I alone without more help could fight this royal battle?
You know your places. God be with you all.
Tuck it. Enter Montjoy.
Once more I come to know of thee, King Harry. If for thy ransom thou wilt now compound, before thy most assured overthrow, for certainly thou art so near the gulf thou needs must be engulfed and glutted. Besides, in mercy, the constable desires thee, thou wilt mind thy followers of repentance, that their souls may make a peaceful and a sweet retire from off these fields where wretches their poor bodies must lie and fester.
Who hath sent thee now?
The constable of France.
I pray thee, bear my former answer back. Bid them achieve me, and then sell my bones. Good God! Why should they mock poor fellows thus? Herald, save thou thy labor. Come thou no more for ransom, gentle herald. They shall have none, I swear, but these my joints, which if they have, as I will leave them here, shall yield them little, tell the constable.
I shall, King Harry. Thou never shalt hear herald any more.
Exit Montjoy.
I fear thou wilt once more come again for ransom. Now, soldiers, 'tis the time we march away, and how thou pleasest. God dispose the day.
Exeunt. Scene 4, the field of battle. Alarum, excursions. Enter pistol, French soldier, and boy.
No. Yield, cur.
Cur?
Cur.
Oh,
Cur.
je pense que vous êtes gentilhomme de bonne qualité.
Art thou a gentleman? What is thy name? Discuss.
Oh, Seigneur Dieu.
Oh, Signor Du should be a gentleman. Perpend my words, O Signor Du, and mark, O Signor Du, thou diest on point of fox, except, O Signor, thou do give to me egregious ransom.
Oh, prenez miséricorde et ayez pitié de moi.
Moi shalt not serve. I will have 40 mois, or I will fetch thy rim out at thy throat in drops of crimson blood.
Est-il impossible d'échapper la force de ton bras?
Brass, cur, thou damned and luxurious mountain goat, offerest me brass?
Oh, pardonnez-moi.
Ah, sayest thou me so? Is that a ton of mois? Come hither, boy. Ask me this slave in French, what is his name?
Écoutez, comment êtes-vous appelé?
Monsieur le Fer.
He says his name is Master Fur.
Master Fur. Ooh, I'll fur him, and fur Kim, and ferret him. Discuss the same in French unto him.
I do not know the French for fur and ferret and furk.
Bid him prepare, for I will cut his throat. Yes.
Que dit-il, monsieur?
Il me commande à vous dire que vous faites-vous prêts, car ce soldat ici est disposé tout à fait et de couper votre gorge.
Oh, oui.
Oui, coupele gorge permefoy. Peasant, unless thou give me crowns, brave crowns, or mangled, shalt thou be by this my sword.
Oh, je vous supplie, pour l'amour de Dieu, me pardonnez. Je suis le gentilhomme de bonne maison. Gardez ma vie, et je vous donnerai d'autres chances de cul.
What are his words?
He prays you to save his life. He is a gentleman of a good house, and for his ransom he will give you 200 crowns.
Tell him my fury shall abate, and I the crowns will take.
Encore, qu'il est contre son jurement de pardonner à con prisonnier, néanmoins, pour les excuses que vous lui avez promises, il est content de vous donner la liberté, l'affranchissement.
The French soldier kneels.
Sur mes genoux, je vous donne 1000 remerciements et m'estime heureux que j'ai tombé entre les mains d'un chevalier, je pense, le plus brave, valiant et très distingué seigneur de l'Angleterre.
Expound unto me, boy.
He gives you, upon his knees, 1,000 thanks, and he esteems himself happy that he hath fallen into the hands of one, as he thinks, the most brave, valorous, and thrice-worthy Seigneur of England.
Ah, as I suck blood, I will some mercy show. Follow me.
Suivez-vous le grand capitaine.
French soldier stands, exeunt pistol and French soldier.
I did never know so full a voice issue from so empty a heart. But the saying is true. The empty vessel makes the greatest sound. Bardolph and Nym had 10 times more valor than this roaring devil, and they are both hanged. And so would this be if he durst steal anything adventurously. I must stay with the lackeys with the luggage of our camp. The French might have good prey of us if he knew of it, for there is none to guard it but boys.
Exit boy. Scene 5, another part of the field. Enter Constable, Orleans, Dauphin, Burgundy, and other French lords.
Oh, diable!
Mort de ma vie! All is confounded, all! Reproach and everlasting shame sits mocking in our plumes. Oh, méchant fortune, do not run away.
Why, all our ranks are broke!
Oh, perdurable shame! Let's stab ourselves! Be these wretches that we played at dice for?
Is this the king we sent for his ransom?
Shame and eternal shame, nothing but shame. Let us die. In once more, back again, and he that will not follow Louis now, let him go hence, and with his cap in hand.
We are enough yet living in the field to smother up the English in our throngs, if any order might be thought upon.
The devil take order now. I'll to the throng, let life be short, else shame will be too long.
Exeunt. Scene 6, another part of the field. Alarms. Enter King Henry and forces, Exeter and others.
What have we done? Thrice valiant countrymen, but all's not done. Yet, keep the French the field.
The Duke of York commends him to your majesty.
Lives he, good uncle? Thrice within this hour I saw him down, thrice up again and fighting, from helmet to the spur, all blood he was.
In which array brave soldier doth he lie, larding the plain, and by his bloody side yoke fellows to his honor owing wounds. The noble Earl of Suffolk also lies. Suffolk first died, and York all haggled over, comes to him where in gore he lay in steep, and takes him by the beard, kisses the gashes that bloodily did spawn upon his face, and cries aloud, "Tarry, dear cousin Suffolk, my soul shall thine keep company to heaven." Upon these words I came and cheered him up. He smiled me in the face, wrought me his hand, and with a feeble grip says, "Dear my lord, commend my service to me sovereign." So did he turn, and over Suffolk's neck he threw his wounded arm and kissed his lips, and so, espoused to death with blood he sealed, a testament of noble ending love. The pretty and sweet manner of it forced those waters from me.
I blame you not. For hearing this, I must perforce compound with mistful eyes, or they will issue too.
Alarum.
But hark, what new alarm is this same? The French have reinforced their scattered men. Then every soldier kill his prisoners. Give the word through.
Exeunt. Scene 7, another part of the field. Enter FLUELLEN and GOWER.
Kill the boys and the luggage. 'Tis expressly against the law of arms. 'Tis a sarrant of peace and knavery, mark ye now, and can be offered in your conscience now, is it not?
'Tis certain there's not a boy left alive, and the cowardly rascals that ran from the battle had done the slaughter. Oh, besides, they have burned and carried away all that was in the king's tent. Wherefore, the king most worthily hath caused every soldier to cut his prisoner's throat. Oh, 'tis a gallant king.
Aye, he was born at Monmouth, Captain Gower. What can you call the town's name where Alexander the Pig was born?
I think Alexander the Great was born in Macedon. His father was called Philip of Macedon, as I take it.
I think it is in Macedon where Alexander is born. I tell you, Captain, if you look in the maps of the world, I warrant you shall find in the comparisons between Macedon and Monmouth that the situations took you is both alike. There is a river in Macedon, and there is also, moreover, a river at Monmouth. 'Tis alike as my fingers is to me fingers, and there is salmons in both. If you mark Alexander's life well, and Harry of Monmouth's life is come after it indifferent well, for there is figures in all things. Alexander, God knows, and you know, in his rages and his furies, and his wraths and his chollers, and his moods and his displeasures, and his indignations, and also being a little intoxicate in his brains, did in his ails and his angers, look you, kill his best friend Clytus.
Our king is not like him in that. He never killed any of his friends.
It is not well done, mark you. Now takes the tales out of my mouth, as ere it is made and finished. I speak but in the figures and comparisons of it. As Alexander killed his friend Clytus, being in his ales and his cups, so also Harry Monmouth, being in his right wits and his good judgments, turned away the fat knight with great-bellied doublet. I have forgot his name.
Sir John Falstaff.
That is he. I'll tell you, there is a good man born at Monmouth.
Here comes his majesty.
Alarm, enter King Henry and forces, Westmoreland, Bedford, Exeter, and others.
I was not angry since I came to France until this instant. Take a trumpet, herald. Ride thou unto the horsemen on yon hill. If they will fight with us, bid them come down or void the field. They do offend our sight. If they'll do neither, we will come to them and make them scur away as swift as stones and force it from the old Assyrian slings. Besides, we'll cut the throats of those we have, and not a man of them that we shall take shall taste our mercy. Go and tell them so.
Enter Montjoy.
Here comes the herald of the French, my liege.
His eyes are humbler than they used to be.
Oh, now, what means this, herald? Knowest thou not that I have fined these bones of mine for ransom? Comest thou again for ransom?
No, great king, I come to thee for charitable license, that we may wander o'er this bloody field to look our dead and then to bury them, to sort our nobles from our common men, for many of our princes, woe the while, lie drowned and soaked in mercenary blood.
Yeah.
So do our vulgar drench their peasant limbs in blood of princes. Oh, give us leave, great king, to view the field in safety and dispose of their dead bodies. The day is yours.
Praise be God, and not our strength for it. What is this castle called that stands hard by?
They call it
Agincourt.
Oh. Then call we this the field of Agincourt, fought on the day of Crispin Crispianus.
Your grandfather, a famous memory, and it please your majesty, and your great uncle Edward the Plaque, Prince of Wales, as I have read in the chronicles, fought a most brave battle here in France.
They did, FLUELLEN.
Your majesty says, very true. If your majesty is remembered of it, the Welshmen did good service in a garden where leeks did grow, wearing leeks in their Monmouth caps, which your majesty know to this hour is an honorable badge of the service. And I do believe your majesty takes no scorn to wear the leek upon St. Tavi's Day.
I wear it for a memorable honor, for I am Welsh, you know, good countrymen.
By Jesu, I am your majesty's countryman. All the water in Wye cannot wash your majesty's Welsh blood out of you body. I can tell you that God please and preserve it, as long as it pleases his grace and his majesty too.
God keep me so. Our heralds go with him. Bring me just notice of the numbers dead on both our parts. Soldier, why wearest thou that glove in thy cap?
And please, your majesty, 'tis the gage of one that I should fight withal, if he be alive.
An Englishman?
Ain't please, your majesty, a rascal that swaggered with me last night, who, if alive and ever dare to challenge his glove, I have sworn to take him a box o' the ear, or if I can see my glove in his cap, which he swore as he was a soldier he would near if
he would wear if alive. I will strike it out soundly.
What think you, Captain Fluellen? Is it fit this soldier keep his oath?
He is a craven and a villain else, and it please your majesty in my conscience.
It may be his enemy is a gentleman of great sort, quite from the answer of his degree.
Though he be as good a gentleman as the devil is, as Lucifer and Beelzebub himself, it is necessary, look your grace, that he keep his vow and his oath.
Then keep thy vow, sirrah, when thou meets the fellow. Fetch me your Captain Gower.
So I will, my liege, as I live.
Whose service thou under?
Under Captain Gower, my liege.
Call him hither to me, soldier.
I will, my liege.
Exit
Here,
Williams, King
Llewellyn.
Henry. Exit Williams. King Henry gives Llewellyn William's glove.
Here, Fluellen, wear thou this favor for me and stick it in thy cap. When Alençon and myself were down together, I plucked this glove from his helm. If any man challenge this, he is a friend to Alençon and an enemy to our person. If thou encounter any such, apprehend him, and thou dost me love.
Llewellyn puts the glove in his hat.
Your grace does me as great honors as can be desired in the hearts of his subjects. I would fain see the man that has but 2 legs that shall find himself aggrieved at this glove. That is all. But I would fain see it once, and please God of his grace, that I might see.
Knowst thou Gower?
He is my dear friend, and please you.
Pray thee, go seek him and bring him to my tent.
I will fetch him.
Exit Llewellyn.
My Lord Westmoreland and my brother Bedford, follow Llewellyn closely at the heels. The glove which I have given him for a favor may haply purchase him a box o' the ear. It is the soldier's. I by my bargain should wear it myself. Follow, good Westmoreland. If that the soldier strike him, as I judge by his blunt bearing he will keep his word, some sudden mischief may arise of it. For I do know Fluellen valiant, and touched with choler, hot as gunpowder, and quickly will return an injury. Follow and see there be no harm between them. Go you with me, Uncle of Exeter.
Exeunt. Scene 8. Before King Henry's pavilion. Enter Gower and Williams.
I warrant it is to knight you, Captain.
Enter Fluellen wearing William's glove.
God's will and his pleasure, Captain. I beseech you now, come apace to the king. There is more good toward you peradventure than is your knowledge to dream of.
Sir, know you this glove?
Know the glove? I know the glove is glove.
I know this, and thus I challenge it.
Williams strikes him.
Blood and an arrant traitor as any is in the universal world, or in France, or England.
How now, sir, you villain!
Do you think I'll be forsworn?
Stand away, Captain Gower. I will give treason his payment into plows, I warrant you.
I am no traitor.
That's a lie in thy throat. I charge you in his majesty's name. Apprehend him. He's a friend of the Duke Alençon's.
Enter Westmoreland and Bedford.
How now? What's the matter?
Lord Westmoreland, here is, praised be God for it, a most contagious treason come to light.
Enter King Henry and Exeter.
Here is his majesty.
Oh no, what's the matter?
My liege, here is a villain and a traitor that took your grace, has struck the glove which your majesty is to take out of the helmet of Alençon.
My liege, this was my glove. Here is the fellow of it. And he that I give it in change promised to wear it in his cap. I promised to strike him if he did. I met this man with my glove in his cap, and I have been as good as my word.
Yeah.
Your majesty here now, saving your majesty's manhood. What an arrant, rascally, beggarly, lousy knave it is. I hope your majesty is peer me. Testimony and witness, and will avouch that that this is the glove of Alençon that you, Majesty, is giving
There's
me.
no way he could.
Now.
Give me thy glove, soldier. Look, here is the fellow of it. 'Twas I. Indeed, you promisedst to strike, and thou hast given me most bitter terms.
And Majesty, let his neck answer for it, if there is any martial law in the world.
How canst thou make me satisfaction?
All offenses, my lord, come from the heart. Never came any from mine that might offend your majesty.
Listen to this dude, man.
It was ourself that didst abuse.
Your majesty came not like yourself. You appeared to me but as a common man. Witness the night, your garments, your lowliness, and what your highness suffered under that shape. I beseech you, take it for your own fault.
Come on.
For had you been as I took you for, I made no offense. Therefore, I beseech your highness, pardon me.
Here, Uncle Exeter, fill this glove with crowns and give it to this fellow. Keep it, fellow, and wear it for an honor in thy cap, till I do challenge it. And, Captain, you must needs be friends with him.
Enter English herald.
Now, herald, are the dead numbered?
Herald gives him a paper.
Here is the number of the slaughtered French.
What prisoners of good sort are taken, uncle?
Charles, Duke of Orleans, nephew to the king. John, Duke of Bourbon, and Lord Bouchiquot. Of other lords and barons, knights and squires, full 1,500 besides common men.
This note doth tell me of 10,000 French that in the field lie slain. Of princes in this number and nobles bearing banners there lie dead 126. Added to these of knights, esquires, and gallant gentlemen, 8,400, of the which 500 were but yesterday dubbed knights. So that in these 10,000 they have lost, there are but 1,600 mercenaries. The rest are princes, barons, lords, knights, squires, and gentlemen of blood and quality. The names of those their nobles that lie dead: Charles Delabret, High Constable of France. Here was a royal fellowship of death. Where is the number of our English dead?
Harold shows him another paper.
Edward, the Duke of York, the Earl of Suffolk, Sir Richard Kelly, Davy Gam, Esquire. None else of name, and of all other men but 25. O God, thy arm was here, and not to us, but to thy arm alone ascribe we all, when without stratagem, but in plain shock and even play of battle, was ever known so great and little loss on one part and on the other. Take it, God, for it is none but thine.
'Tis wonderful.
Come, go we in procession to the village, and be it death proclaimed through our host to boast of this, or take the praise from God, which is his only.
Is it not lawful, and please your majesty, to tell how many is killed?
Yes, Captain, but with this acknowledgement that God fought for us, do we all holy rites. Let there be sung Non Nobis and Te Deum, the dead with charity and closed in clay, and then to Calais and to England then, where ne'er from France arrived more happy men.
Exeunt, Act 5, Prologue. Enter chorus.
Now we bear the king toward Calais. Grant him there, heave him away unto your winged thoughts athwart the sea. Behold, the English beach pales in the flood with men, wives, and boys, whose shouts and claps outvoice the deep-mouthed sea to prepare his way. So let him land, and solemnly see him set on to London. Were that his lords desire him to have borne his bruised helmet and his bended sword before him through the city, he forbids it, being free from vainness and self-glorious pride, giving full trophy, signal and ostent quite from himself to God. But now, behold in the quick forge and working house of thought, how London doth pour out her citizens, the mayor and all his brethren, in best sort, like to the senators of the antique Rome, with the plebeians swarming at their heels, go forth and fetch their conquering Caesar in to welcome him. Much more, and much more cause did they this harry. Now in London place him, as yet the lamentation of the French invites the King of England's stay at home. The emperor's coming in behalf of France to order peace between them and omit all the occurrences, whatever chanced, till Harry's back return again to France. There must we bring him, and myself have played the interim by remembering you 'tis past. Then brook abridgment, and your eyes advance after your thoughts straight back again to France.
Exit chorus. Scene 1, France, the English camp. Enter FLUELLEN and Gap.
Why will you win today? St. Davy's Day is past.
Occasions and causes why and wherefore to all things. I will tell you as my friend Captain Gower. That rascally skull, beggarly, lousy, pragging knave pistol, which you and yourself and all the world know to be no better than a fellow, look you now, of no merits. He has come to me and pings me bread and salt yesterday, look you, and bid me eat my leek. It was in place where I could not breed no contention with him, but I will be so bold as to wear it in my cap till I see him once again, and then I will tell him a little piece of my desires.
Why, here he comes, swelling like a turkey cock.
It's no matter for his swellings nor his turkey cocks. God bless you, ancient pistol, you scurvy, lousy knave. God bless you.
Ah, art thou Bedlam? Dost thou thirst, base Trojan, to have me fold a Parker's fatal web? Hence, I am qualmish at the smell of leek.
I beseech you heartily, scurvy, lousy knave, at my desires and my requests and my petitions, to eat, look you, this leek. Because, look you, you do not love it, nor your affections and your appetites and your digestions does not agree with it. I would desire you eat it.
Not for Cadwallader and all his goats.
There's one goat for you.
FLUELLEN strikes him with a cudgel.
Let's eat it.
Base Trojan, thou shalt die.
You say very true, skull knave. Once God's will is, I will desire to live in the meantime and eat your victuals. Come here. There is sauce for it.
He strikes him again.
I pray you fall to. If you can mock a leek, you can eat a leek.
Enough, Captain. You have admonished him.
I say I will make him eat some part of my leek, or I will beat his pate 4 days. Bite, I pray you. It is good for your green wound and your bloody documents, coxcomb.
Must I bite?
Yes, certainly. And not a doubt, not a question too. And ambiguities.
By this leek, I will most horribly revenge.
FLUELLEN threatens him.
I eat and eat, I swear.
Eat, I pray you. Will you have some more swords for your leek? There is not enough leek to swear by.
Oh, quiet thy cudgel. Thou dost see I eat.
Oh, much good do you, skull knave. Heartily. Nay, pray you, throw none away. The skin is good for your broken coxcomb. Surely and in truth, you shall take it. I shall have another leek in my pocket, which you shall eat.
Pistol finishes the leek.
God be with you and keep you and heal your pate.
Exit FLUELLEN.
Boy, all hell shall stir for this.
Go you. You are a counterfeit, cowardly knave. Will you mock an ancient tradition begun upon an honorable respect and worn as a memorable trophy of predeceased valor, and dare not avouch in your deeds and any word? I have seen you gleeking and galling at this gentleman twice or thrice. You thought because He could not speak English in the native garb. He could not therefore handle an English cudgel. You find it otherwise, and henceforth let a Welsh correction teach you a good English condition. Fare you well.
Oh,
Exit Gower.
doth fortune play the housewife with me now? News have I that my Nell is dead in the spittle of malady of France, and there my rendezvous is quite cut off. Old I do wax, and from my weary limbs honor is cudgeled. Well, bald, bought I'll turn, and something lean to cut purse of quick hand. To England will I steal, and there I'll steal, and patches will I get unto these cudgeled scars. I swear I got them in the Gallia wars.
Exit Pistol. Scene 2, France, a royal palace. Enter at one door King Henry, Exeter, Bedford, Westmoreland, and other lords. King of France, the Princess Catherine, Alice, other ladies, Duke of Burgundy, and other French lords.
Peace to this meeting, wherefore we are met. Unto our brother France, health and fair time of joy of day. Joy and good wishes to our most fair and princely cousin Katharine. And as a branch and member of this royalty, by whom this great assembly is contrived, we do salute you, Duke of Burgundy, and princes French and peers. Health to you all.
Right joyous are we to behold your face. So happy be the issue, brother England, of this good day and of this gracious meeting. Are we, as we are now glad to behold your eyes which hitherto have borne in them against the French that met them in their bent, the fatal balls of murdering basilisks, the venom of such looks, we fairly hope, have lost their quality, and that this day shall change all griefs and quarrels into love. You, English princes all, I do salute you.
To cry amen to that, thus we appear.
My duty to both of you, on equal love, great kings of France and England, that I have labored with all my wits, my pains, and strong endeavors, to bring your most imperial majesties unto this bar and royal interview, your mightiness on both parts best can witness. Since then, my office hath so far prevailed that face to face and royal eye to eye you have congregated. Let it not disgrace me. If I demand before this royal view what rub or what impediment there is, why that the naked, poor, and mangled piece should not, in this best garden of the world, our fertile France, put up her lovely visage. Alas, she hath from France too long been chased, and all her husbandry doth lie on heaps, corrupting it in its own fertility. Her vine, the merry shearer of the heart, unpruned dies. Her hedges, even pleached, put forth disordered twigs. Her fallow leaves, the darnel, hemlock, and rank fumitory, doth root upon, while that the counter rusts, that should dericinate such savagery. And as our vineyards, fallows, meads, and hedges, defective in their natures, grow to wilderness, even so our houses and ourselves and children hath lost, or do not learn for want of time, the sciences that should become our country, but grow like savages, as soldiers will, that nothing do but meditate on blood, and everything that seems unnatural. You are assembled, and my speech entreats that I may know the let, why gentle peace, should not expel these inconveniences and bless us with her former qualities.
If, Duke of Burgundy, you would the peace whose want gives growth to the imperfections which you have cited, you must buy that peace with full accord to all our just demands, whose tenors and particular effects you have scheduled briefly in your hands.
I have but with a cursory eye overglanced the articles. Pleaseth your grace to appoint some of your council presently to sit with us once more with better heed to resurvey them. We will suddenly pass our accept and peremptory answer.
Brother, we shall. Go, Uncle Exeter, and all my noble lords, go with the king, and take with you free power to ratify, augment, or alter, as your wisdoms best shall see advantageable for our dignity, anything in or out of our demands, and will consign thereto. Yet leave our cousin Katharine here with us. She is our capital demand, comprised within the forerank of our articles.
She hath good leave.
Exeunt all except Henry, Catherine, and Alice.
Fair Katharine, and most fair, will you vouchsafe to teach a soldier terms, such as will enter at a lady's ear, and plead his love suit to her gentle heart?
Your Majesty shall mock at me. I cannot speak your England.
Oh, fair Katharine, if you will love me soundly with your French heart, I will be glad to hear you confess it brokenly with your English tongue. Do you like me, Kate?
Pardonnez-moi, I cannot tell what is, like me.
An angel is like you, Kate, and you are like an angel.
Que dit-il? Que je suis semblable et les anges? Alice.
Oui. Pardon. Oui, vraiment. Sauf votre grâce, ainsi dit-il.
I said so, dear Catherine, and I must not blush to affirm it.
Oh, bon Dieu. Les langues des hommes sont pleines de tromperies.
What says she, fair one? That the tongues of men are full of deceits?
Oui, that the tongues of the man is be full of deceits. That is the princess.
Ah, the princess is the better Englishwoman. In faith, Kate, my wooing is fit for thy understanding. I am glad thou canst speak no better English, for if thou couldst, thou wouldst find me such a plain king that thou wouldst think I had sold my farm to buy my crown. I know no ways to mince it in love, but directly to say, I love you. Je t'aime. Then if you urge me farther than to say, do you in faith, I wear out my suit. Give me your answer. In faith, do. And so, clap hands in a bargain. How say you, lady?
So votre honneur, me understand well.
Marry, if you would put me to verses or to dance for your sake, Kate, why you undid me. For the one, I have neither words nor measure, and for the other, I have no strength in measure, yet a reasonable measure in strength. If I could win a lady at leapfrog, or by vaulting into my saddle with my armor on my back, I should quickly leap into a wife. But before God, Kate, I cannot look greenly nor grasp out my eloquence, nor I have no cunning in protestation, only downright oaths which I never use till urged, nor never break for urging. I speak to thee plain, soldier. If thou canst love me for this, take me, and while thou livest, dear Kate, take a fellow of plain and uncoined constancy, for he perforce must do thee right, because he hath not the gift to woo in other places. A speaker is but a prater, a rhyme is but a ballad, a good leg will fall, a straight back will stoop, A black beard will turn white. A curled pate will grow bald. A fair face will wither. A full eye will wax hollow. But a good heart, Kate, is the sun and the moon, for it shines bright and never changes, but keeps his course truly. If thou would have such a one, take me, and take me. Take a soldier. Take a soldier. Take a king. And what say'st thou then to my love? Speak, my fair, and fairly I pray thee.
Is it possible that I should love the enemy of France?
No, it is not possible you should love the enemy of France, Kate. But in loving me, you should love the friend of France. For I love France so well that I will not part with a village of it. I will have it all mine. And Kate, when France is mine, and I am yours, then yours is France, and you are mine.
I cannot tell what is that.
No, Kate, I will tell thee in French, which I am sure will hang upon my tongue like a new married wife about her husband's neck, hardly to be shook off. Je connais la possession de France, et quand vous avez la possession de moi. Let me see. What then? Saint-Denis be my speed, donc votre est France, et vous êtes mienne. It is as easy for me, Kate, to conquer the kingdom as to speak so much more French. I shall never move thee in French unless it be to laugh at me.
So votre honneur, le français que vous parlez, il est mieux que l'anglais lequel je parle.
No, faith. It's not, Kate, but thy speaking of my tongue and I thine most truly falsely must needs be granted to be much at one. But, Kate, dost thou understand thus much English? Canst thou love me?
I cannot tell.
Can any of your neighbors tell, Kate? I'll ask them. Come, I know thou lovest me, and at night you'll question this gentle woman about me, and I know, Kate, you will to her dispraise those parts in me that you love with your heart. But, good Kate, mock me mercifully, the rather gentle princess, because I love thee cruelly. If ever thou beest mine, Kate, as I have a saving faith within me tells me thou shalt, I get thee with scrambling, and thou must therefore needs prove a good soldier breeder. Shall not thou and I, between Saint Denis and St. George, compound a boy, half French, half English, that shall go to Constantinople and take the Turk by the beard? Shall we not? How answer you? La plus belle Catherine du monde, mon très cher et divin d'essai?
Your Majesty are false French enough to deceive the most sage demoiselle that is in France.
Now, fie upon my false French, by mine honour and true English. I love thee, Kate, by which honour I dare not swear thou lovest me, yet my blood begins to flatter me that thou dost, notwithstanding the poor and untempering effect of my visage. Now, beshrew my father's ambition. He was thinking of civil wars when he got me. Therefore I was created with a stubborn outside, with an aspect of iron, that when I come to woo ladies, I fright them. But in faith, Kate, the elder I wax, the better I shall appear. My comfort is that old age, that ill layer up of beauty, can do no more spoil upon my face. Thou hast me, if thou hast me, at the worst, and thou shalt wear me, if thou wear me, better and better. And therefore tell me, most fair Catherine, will you have me? Avouch the thoughts of your heart. Take me by the hand and say, Harry of England, I am thine, which word upon thou shalt no sooner bless mine ear withal, but I will tell thee aloud, England is thine, Ireland is thine, France is thine, and Harry Plantagenet is thine. Therefore, queen of all, Catherine, break my Break thy mind to me in broken English. Will thou have me?
That is as it shall please the roi mon père.
Nay, it will please him well, Kate.
Then it shall also content me.
Upon that, I kiss your hand, and I call you my queen.
Laissez, monseigneur, laissez. Ma foi, je ne veux point que vous abassiez votre grandeur en baissant le main Dieu, notre Seigneur. Indigne serviture. Excusez-moi, je vous supplie, mon très puissant Seigneur.
Now kiss me, Kate. I will kiss your lips.
Les dames et demoiselles pour être bassées devant la noce, il n'est pas la coutume de France.
Madam, my interpreter, what says she?
That it is not the fashion for les ladies of France. I cannot tell what is they say on English.
To kiss.
Oh.
It is not a fashion for the maids in France to kiss before they are married, would she say?
Oui, vraiment.
Oh, Kate, nice customs curtsy to great kings. Dear Kate, you and I cannot be confined within the weak list of a country's fashion. We are the makers of manners, Kate, and the liberty that follows our places stops the mouth of all fine faults, as I will do yours for upholding the nice fashion of your country in denying me a kiss. Therefore, patiently and yielding.
He kisses her.
You have witchcraft in your lips, Kate. There is a more eloquence in a sugar touch of them than in the tongues of the French council, and they should sooner persuade Harry of England than a general petition of monarchs.
Re-enter the King of France, Burgundy, and their trains. King Henry says,
Here comes your father.
What page are we on? Oh, so please you.
88, yes.
88. So please you.
That's your father. Are you going to give me the hand of your daughter in marriage?
Yes. Shall Kate be so please you?
I would have her learn, my fair cousin, how perfectly I love her, and that is good English.
Is she not apt?
Our tongue is rough, cuz, and my condition is not smooth, so that having neither the voice nor the heart of flattery about me, I cannot so conjure up the spirit of love in her that he will appear in his true likeness.
If conjure up love in her and his true likeness, he must appear naked and blind. Can you blame her then, being a maid yet rosed over with the virgin crimson of modesty, if she deny the appearance of a naked blind boy in her naked seeing self? It were, my lord, a hard condition for a maid to consign to.
Yet they do wink and yield, as love is blind and enforces.
They are then excused, my lord, when they see not what they do.
Then good, my lord, teach your cousin to consent winking.
I will wink on her to consent, my lord, if you will teach her to know my meaning.
It is so, and you may, some of you, thank love for my blindness, who cannot see many a fair French city for one fair French maid that stands in my way. Shall Kate be my wife?
So please you.
I am content. So the maid in the cities we talk of may wait on her. So the maid that stood in the way for my wish shall show me the way to my will.
We have consented to all terms of reason.
Is so, my lords of England?
He hath granted every article, his daughter first, and then in sequel all.
I pray you then in love and dear alliance, thereupon give me your daughter.
Take her, fair son, and from her blood raise up issue to me, that the contending kingdoms of France and England, whose very shores look pale with envy of each other's happiness, may cease their hatred, and this dear conjunction plant neighborhood and Christian-like accord in their sweet bosoms, that never war advance his bleeding sword twixt England and fair France.
Now welcome, Kate, and bear me witness all, that here I kiss her as my sovereign queen.
Kiss, flourish.
Fair we for our marriage, on which day my lord of Burgundy will take your oath, and all the peers for surety of our leagues. Then shall I swear to Kate, and you to me, and may our oaths be well kept and prosperous be.
Senate, exeunt. Epilogue, enter chorus.
Thus far, with rough and all unable pen, our bending author has pursued the story. In little room confining mighty men, mangling by starts the full course of their glory. Small time, but in that small most greatly lived this star of England. Fortune made his sword, by which the world's best garden be achieved, and of it left his son, imperial lord, Henry VI. In infant hands, crowned king of France and England, did this king succeed, whose state so many had the managing, that they lost France and made his England bleed.
Exit chorus. And
Oh, kiss me, Kate, you crazy loon. Ere you starve my